Hi, I'm John,
This is Nick.
And I'm Andrew.
and welcome to episode 16 of the JNA Podcast. Episode 16, and this week we decided to get a little more beneficial and philosophical, I guess, which is the best thing I have to state it as. And we decided we wanted to do a podcast on lessons you think you should have learned earlier in life. Just share some stories, stuff like that. Uh, so yeah, Andrew, what do you got for me?
I probably got the longest list out of those three, that's for sure. um, I will give one that it was a huge issue for me growing up. But one issue that one lesson I wish I'd have learned when I was younger is definitely how to control my anger better. Like I've always been like of a short-tempered guy. Like obviously you two know growing up with you two,
Hmm.
but I was always gotten like real angry very easily. I'm like when I was younger, I would just like kind of just lose control of all your senses and everything like that. And I've never really liked the fact that I had anger issues, and it took me a long time to learn it. How to take deep breaths and not let things bother you so much. I mean, and weed definitely helped too.
I
But
can vouch for
dealing
Andrew
with
on this.
anger, like what's that?
I was going to say I can vouch for Andrew on this. You don't know how many PlayStation, Nintendo, Sega controllers that we actually went through growing up. You get mad as hell when he lost a video game.
Not the entire system. I never did the system itself, but the controllers never lasted long.
Couple TVs, if my memory strikes me correctly.
Yeah.
Uh, I
What?
remember one time I brought the Nintendo 64 over, and you whipped the controller, and I'm like, dude, excuse the hell out of you.
Those Nintendo 64s, man, those things were like the strongest systems it's ever. You could drop like a TV on those bitches, and they still
Hell
work.
yeah.
All you
Bro.
got to do is blow in them.
Well, not only that, man. Like, when you learn to deal with like not only your anger issues, you learn to control other emotions too. Like when I'm learning to control my anger and now my anger is so like it's like night and day now compared to what it used to be when I was a kid. Like it takes a lot for me to get like pissed off now. But it also helps me deal with other emotions. You know what I mean? Like you just learn how to deal with them better and grow as a person. And it's just something I wish I would have started a lot younger. Embarrassing enough, I didn't learn to control until I got in my 20s. So
Mm.
Fair enough.
hey, I'm
Fair
not the
enough.
only one out of us three that's dealt with anger issues. I know that.
We've all broken a couple controllers in our days.
I haven't.
That's surprising, but I have.
I'll say I was too poor, and let's face it, if I broke something, my mother would have killed me. Just
That's
sort of
funny.
like yeet.
Hey man, I've had my ass tagged more than a few times by my mom growing
Uh,
up. Usually it's because of Nick
Yep.
blaming me for something I really didn't do.
ah.
That's that's bullshit. He always did it. Don't let him fool you.
It's hard not to have
Uh-huh.
anger issues when Nick's deleting my Zelda files on my Nintendo 64 and blaming me for shit I didn't do.
Dude,
He
dick
still
move.
he still talks about that 20 something years later.
Dude, because
Let
to
it
this
go.
day I have yet to beat that fucking game because of this cocksucker.
As much time as
Wow.
you put in, as much time as you put in video games, I highly doubt that you haven't beat that game because of me. Go play it.
Hey, I'm sticking to blaming you. And that's where it's I would get right about the water temple on Ocarina of Time and fucking for the 64, but it must have been at least 7 or 8 times I got into about that point, and Nick would delete my file. So
Yeah, what a
eventually
bastard.
I just
I had
gave
to make
up.
I had to make room for my files, man. What's up?
Yeah. See, this is why I have anger issues.
That's funny. What about you, John? What's your lesson learned?
I think I'm going to start with potentially the one that would have helped me the most. And I did learn a little bit younger, probably like 16 or 17, but too short or too late for it to really be effective. And it is don't value the words of those you do not value. Uh, and I say this in specific regard to, bullying. Like, you guys know I was bullied a lot when I was younger. I was the nerd, still am, proud of it too. Don't fuck with me. Uh, but that's what people's insults used to really get at me or get into me and get under my skin. And I really wish that I had learned. Listen, I don't give a fuck about these people. Why should I let what they say affect me? And the
Uh,
same is true of um, that's it, just like random strangers and whatnot. It just if somebody's got an opinion, sure, consider it. But if I don't know that person, why the fuck am I gonna let them say anything about me and take it to heart?
mm. I think everybody can learn from that. I mean, I think everybody it's
True
got to
that.
learn from that
True that.
growing up. You know what I mean? Even if you even dealt with like I've dealt with bullies too when I was younger, but even if you didn't deal with bullies, still like growing up, being a teenager, that's something that you got to learn not to let people's words affect your emotions and your state of mind. You know, it's hard to get over too. I think it's like an evolutionary trait for us human beings to want to be like accepted. You know, to be a part of a
Hmm.
tribe and things like that. And when we're not accepted or part of the tribe, it leads into like huge. It can lead to huge mental issues. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amen to that. My bully was the fucking Andrew. He used to beat the shit out of me all the time, little fucker.
Well, I mean, it's not like you didn't have it coming a few of them times.
A few. That dude used to beat my ass just because I was wanting to hang out with him and his friends. Just to show off, little bastard.
Hey, we already talked about my issues. All right, these are my feelings.
It's a good point though, man. A lot of people they care too much about what others think of them, and it's not the ones that are necessarily close to you. It's just in general, like in the work environment. I mean, you're a lot of people take what their coworkers say to heart, and it's like, who are you? How do you affect my life at all? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So there is a good distinction between critical advice and just complete just devaluing you as a human being to make themselves feel better. You know what I mean? You can
Yeah.
always take some advice or someone's experience and kind of apply it to your own, but when they start downing you as a person, it's like, yeah, fuck off, dude.
Uh, I've put it a bit axiomatically because yeah, philosophy nerd too. Hey, but you know, value the words of those you value. Consider the words of those you don't. Like, if somebody says some shit, yeah, maybe think about it for a bit, but try not to let it get under your skin. And of course, the context of everything, like, in the example you provided, if it's a coworker and, there's saying you're not doing something right, of course the delivery matters, but take a second and be like, okay, is this, a real issue or um am I actually fucking up or are they just, being bitchy?
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the time they're being bitchy, in my opinion, but hey,
Mm.
that's my experience.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's
That is
something
funny.
I definitely deal with every single day because a couple of my coworkers are little bitches.
Ooh.
No, I'm just playing. I get along with like 95% of the people I work with, man. But well, people coming around and trying to tell you how to do your job when you've been doing it for so long, like something like that. Like I don't even pay attention to that because I know what I'm doing. Yeah,
Mm.
and you're not gonna tell me any differently than know the right way to do what I'm doing. I do this every single day. Like get the hell out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I generally only get affected by like so if somebody close to me says something to me and like, even if it stings, like I actually take in what they say to heart because I like because I trust them. Like if it was something like John or you, Nick, or somebody close to me that's saying like Andrew, you've been a real dick lately. You know what I mean? Like I might actually put some focus into that and be like, oh shit, maybe I am being a dick, as opposed to one of my coworkers like Andrew, you've been a real dick lately. Yeah, big cry me a river, bitch. Shut up.
Hey, hey, Andrew.
Huh?
Andrew. Andrew, you've been a real dick lately. Why don't you think
I
about
knew
that
that
a
was
little bit? That's funny. That's funny. That
fuck
is
you,
a good
Nick.
one,
I still
John.
can't
I
finish
agree.
Ocarina of Time because of you.
Dude, I
Oh
hope you
Lord.
never do. I hope you never do. I swear, take it to your grave.
Oh, well, man, I'm gonna mention it at least 10 times in this podcast. That's 3 down.
Put a marker up. So,
That's funny.
how about
That's
you,
funny.
Nick? Share with us your wisdom.
The one I thought of, and I actually just thought of it a couple minutes ago, and I thank you for that, John, because you kind
Oh,
of gave me the idea. It kind of intertwines with yours, but in a different sense. The one I kind of thought of, and I think would be good to discuss, would be, and this is a kind of a thing that we have on our podcast since we started this, is how to have an open mind. You know what I
mm,
mean? When you're a teenager and shit, and you think you know everything. You know what I mean? It's just as I've grown older, and I'm only 29, so it's not like I'm old by any means, and I'm still, kind of getting used to this as well. I catch myself sometimes, but you know, you, people tell you something, especially people that are older and have that life experience. It's easy to say, "Yeah, fuck off, old guy. It is what it is."
mm,
But if you really take a second to listen to their criticism or their advice about whatever it be something that you're doing that they've done a million times more than you, or whether it be just a kind of a life experience type thing, or just metaphorically or whatnot. It's to have an open mind is a trait nowadays I think would benefit so many people, and definitely kids like teenagers. I have a teenager here that's turning 15 in November, and she's a really good kid, don't get me wrong, but she's one of those kids that thinks she knows everything.
all
She
right.
doesn't really open mind too much, and I guess that's just part of growing up. But that I think that is something that would be something that I would have loved to have learned in an earlier stage than where I'm at now. And again, I still have a hard time soaking it in myself. You know what I mean? I'll be doing something and somebody will give me criticism about how to do it differently or better to get the same result, and I'm just like, yeah, I've been doing it the same way for a long time. Then I'll think about it for a second, I'll do it that way, and then it's like, oh, that is easier. And I refer to like sales, like different sales tactics and sales techniques that I use every day. So that's just, again, it's still hard for me, but definitely would have loved to have learned that a lot younger
Mm,
than I today.
definitely.
I think me and like 90% of the population agree with you on that one, Nick. That's well said. I mean, I don't. I can sit here and like think us back at so many times where I thought I was 100% right about whatever the case may
Mhm.
have been or the situation that I'm in, and I look back on it like, God, how could I have been so stupid? I wish I'd have been more open-minded
Yeah.
and look at the thing objectively instead of like, with my ego thinking that I'm 100% right. There's no wrong in what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I think a lot of I think it has something to do with just immaturity. You know what I mean? Everybody that I've known my entire life have been like that at one point in time in their life, or at least in certain situations and shit.
Mm,
Oh, absolutely.
And then that could even be said to probably be about like 60 to 70% of the population, because I know adults that are still like this to this day. I don't know so many people that are not open-minded, that regardless if it's a political fraction or regardless if it's something they've done and a mistake they don't want to admit, like nobody's open-minded enough to even view it objectively. They just sit there like, I'm right, you're wrong, and if you try talking to me, I'm just going to talk over you and never let you finish a sentence or anything.
yeah. And
But I mean,
it's, oh, go ahead, Nick.
good. I was going to say, if I had to kind of pinpoint this, I mean, obviously kids are one of the worst ones at that because they're still developing, but kind of the polar opposite is the other worst of them, because you got the older generation. I don't mean like 40s and 30s. I don't mean that. I mean like your 50, 60-year olds. I mean, they grew up, they went through all their life experience, so they think they know everything. And things change, things evolve, and there's just so many times I get into just conversations with the older folk, and I deal with this almost every day with my boss, by the way. And he just, people just think that they know all because they're older, and it's like, okay, dude, whatever. You know what I mean? I just kind of let it
Mm,
go after a while with it, so I don't start an argument. But that's a big thing for older folks just as much as it is for younger folks. So I guess it's just something you have to learn at some point in your life. But it is what it is.
Oh. It's basically just about everybody across the age spectrum.
Pretty
Like,
much.
uh,
sometimes I've met even people that were like younger, man, and sometimes I've even met like early 20-year-olds that are like tremendously like 10 times more open-minded than anybody I've met in their fucking 40s or 50s or something like that.
mm,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's a skill that you require, like that. I don't think people are necessarily born with, but I think they just learn, and some people learn faster than others. I was a slow learner. It took me a minute. It took me a lot of Nintendo 64 controllers and Zelda save files to become a little bit more
Mhm.
open.
that's four.
So that's
That's
It's
all I wanted to say was all the save files.
oh Jesus Christ.
it's I do like the point that that's it, some people that's it they're just set in their ways. And one thing I tend to think of whenever I'm dealing with a customer or somebody who's says, "Oh, I've been doing it, this way for 120 years, so I know what I'm doing." The first thing I think is just because you've been doing something a long time doesn't mean you're doing it right. It just means you've been doing it wrong a long time.
Right. And that's a big hit for someone's ego, and for them to admit that they were wrong, that takes a big open mind, because
Yeah.
even though you're wrong, especially if you've been doing something for a long period of time, it's hard to admit or hard to kind of fess up even to yourself, like, damn, I've been doing this wrong for this damn long, what an idiot. I mean, it makes you feel less, whether it be intelligent or whatever. It's just kind of, it's an ego blow. So in
Mm,
that example, I mean, yeah, that I catch myself in this all the time, not all the time, but often, because I'm just starting to kind of get used to the fact that people have, you know better ways of doing things, especially in my industry. Sales, it's such an evolving thing. It's things that were easy to sell somebody on back in the 80s and 90s. That shit don't work at all no more. You know what I mean? Like, the same tactics and techniques are just completely different nowadays. And it's changed even in the 6 years I've been doing it. So it is kind of difficult to you know do something for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and next thing you know, you got to completely change to the polar opposite because it's just not working no more. So it is hard on your ego, because you thought you were doing good, you've been doing it for a while, and it's been successful, and now it's starting to fail. So that is a big deal.
mm,
Uh, I'm even there when the kind of line I work in carpentry, man. I've gotten good fast at doing it, not because I thought I knew everything. It's because I knew I didn't know jack shit. So I'll listen to people like that have like more years of experience than me or whatever, and I'm open minded to this day. Sometimes they show me stuff that like, hey, you're cutting it this way, but if you cut it like this, you can get like a nicer clean cut, or you could be more proficient, etc., etc. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know that I've been doing this wrong for like the past 2 or 3 years, and I have zero problem changing it up a bit. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's a learn. Everything's a learning process. The only time my ego gets in the way is usually when it comes to sports.
mm.
Like I know I could, I don't know why sports have always gotten underneath my skin, but when it comes to like learning new skill sets and stuff like that, I tend to try to be more open minded. So 'cause that's the only way you're going to be able to get better. You know?
Hmm.
Uh,
Absolutely.
I think there's also something of a like when it comes to learning new skill sets or I guess well, actually in general, there's always the immediate reaction, which tends to be negative, and if you can just overcome the resistance to try it once, then most people, or that's it. They'll get the results for themselves, and they'll be like, okay, yeah, this is better. Okay, I've been doing it wrong, but now I've got this, easier or better way of doing it. So now I can just, let's hammer this out.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Mm.
I agree. That
Absolutely.
it also humbles you too.
Yeah.
Like knowing that you don't know everything, and then it not only does it can humble you and give you confidence at the same time because you realize you can learn a lot faster if you just listen to other people.
And I think there's also a kind of like when you accept that you don't know, anything or don't know as much or any concerning a certain topic, there's maybe perhaps the penchant for self-forgiveness, like, okay, I'm just doing this, so yeah, I fucked up, so, whether or
Yeah.
not that leads to improvement, you feel less bad about making a mistake just because, that's it. You're like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Oh,
Yeah.
there, there is always
Absolutely.
one thing that could help that keep for you to keep an open mind of it and look at it objectively, man. And it's just like try to like when they say like think outside the box, don't like try to think like it's you looking at this thing, just try to like picture yourself like outside of the situation, and like say like what I do when it comes to talking to somebody in like in my industry, doing carpentry, and like I try to picture like if I was outside looking at, if I'm watching two people having a conversation, and that's like I try to listen to it like that instead of like somebody trying to show me what to do, because when I do it like that, then my ego's out of it. You know what I mean? It's not like, God, this guy's trying to talk down to me, trying to make it seem like he's better than me. It's more like, oh, actually, the information he's giving me is better.
Hmm.
Kind of like the stoner up to way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Don't judge me.
I agree 100%, man. It's always
Indeed.
good to have an open mind, everybody. Way to learn new things and admit when you're wrong.
So,
What?
Andrew,
So next on our list, Andrew, what's next?
bringing
Um,
it around.
what's next for me, man, is something I wish I would have learned earlier. I would have learned the value of reading books earlier, honestly. When I was younger, I like didn't read for shit. Even when I went to school, if I could get away with not reading it, I would. Like any whatever textbooks or like tests or anything like that. Like a lot of times, I'd even make jokes about it with my friends at work, man. And like like that test sheet that you get, where it's got like A, B, C. I used to like just go down and fill in the bubbles, and I'd like maintain like a C average because like I would be like, oh, like I did two A's at once, so there's no way it could be A again. Maybe this time it's C, and just like kind of make a pattern more or less on that shit. But I wish I'd have learned about like the importance of knowledge and like reading books and like just learning, man. Like your brain's really is a muscle, and if you don't use that muscle, it's just like the rest of your muscle. It can get like weak and out of shape, and you can tell like you don't think it's sharp when you're not. If I go like say like a month or two without reading books, I don't feel as sharp. At least for me, from my own personal experience. Like if I'm not constantly learning something, I don't. I don't feel like the same, you know. I don't know, I hope I'm not the only person out there that feels like that.
No, you're
No.
All right,
no,
good.
you're not. And I don't read books as much. Matter of fact, I don't really ever read books, honestly. And it's something I should start doing. I do read. It's just not books or something of that nature. I read articles and things like that. So I do learn all the time. I should read a lot more. And yes, it is important. Like you said, it's your brain's a muscle, and it's important to work it out just as much as anything else, so it doesn't kind of diminish itself and get all weak and all that. But you definitely don't. You're not the only one that feels that way, man. It's definitely good to read and open your mind and learn new things and keep it going.
Well, all right.
To
Go ahead, John.
to quote Tyrion Lannister back when the show was good, a mind needs books like a sword needs whetstones, which is to say, that's it. To empower and strengthen the mind, to sharpen it specifically, because that's what a whetstone does to a sword. Read books.
Yeah, no, that's a good saying. I like that. Um, Well,
Uh,
one thing I do often is because like it is, time does become a factor sometimes. You know, it's a big like especially like if you're working a full time job, and I just mean like 40 hours a week. A lot of people would consider that a part time job. Like,
yeah,
you know what I
nowadays.
mean? Yeah, exactly. So like I get it that times becomes like a issue. Sometimes, a lot of times at work, man, I'm on YouTube and I'm listening to like audiobooks. I also have Audible, which is an audiobook app, and like I listen to shit all the time. Like that's a good way if you can't physically don't have the time to actually sit down and physically read it. Like if you're at work or just driving or whatever, audiobooks are good too.
Not sponsored, but yeah, it's a good idea.
Hey, Audible, holler at your boy.
Yeah, if you wanna, you wanna hook us up,
Yeah, for
we'll do some stealing.
I love audiobooks.
Mm. But
But
yeah,
yeah, especially like a lot of authors nowadays, it's almost a requirement for them just to read their own books in Audible now. Like I listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson's books, Astrophysics for People on the Go, well with him, and he's terrific at reading. For some reason, I always like the audiobooks better if the author actually reads it himself, because it seems like he actually has more input on it. You know what I mean? It's like got a little bit more spunk instead of just like casually reading it and the fifth grade, I'm teacher, I'm gonna make you sleep voice. You know what I mean?
oh yeah, it's actually impassioned.
Yes, yes, thank you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And like you, I'm constantly either listening to something on YouTube or I have Amazon, which you can get audiobooks from off of Audible from.
Yeah.
Again, not sponsored, but hey. Um, but that's it. It just sort of, you know, feed your brain. Brain
Yeah,
good.
Amazon's good. Amazon's good too. Like, oh, a lot of times what I do is just like, I think because we have such a problem with like people looking at their phones and like at the TV with the screens that a lot of our generation has trouble sleeping at night. So a lot of
Mm,
times I find it easier for myself to sleep myself if I just stop watching TV or whatever and being on my phone for about an hour. And I just like sit down and read a book, read a few chapters in a book or something like that. It helps me sleep easier too.
coincidentally, you're not wrong because the light from the phone or from TVs, it's blue light, and that causes the brain to go, "Oh, it's still sunny up. We need to, we need to be awake. We need to be awake." On a lot of modern devices, you can find night mode, which what that does is it limits the actual brightness and it tries to use warmer colors, more reminiscent of sunset to help, just to help
Right.
get you down. But yeah, honestly, the best thing to do is just disconnect.
Yeah.
Put the phone down, turn the TV off, read a book, write something. I don't know.
Yeah, like with the phone, it's so easy too because you could like you have like unlimited knowledge on like I could read books on my phone if I really wanted to. You know what I mean? So like how you said it's still got that blue light that comes out. So I
Mhm.
don't know. It's something about reading a book for me that kind of like helps wind my mind down. And a lot of times I've always dealt with like insomnia on and off in my like throughout my life. So a lot of times like when I'm reading a book and it's like a really good book, it helps me lead when I lay down, it helps me focus on whatever subject I was reading about. That helps me fall asleep easier, at least for
Mm.
me. What about you, Nick? What's something that you wish you've learned earlier?
It's actually John's turn, honestly, but I guess
Eh.
I
Or
can his
no,
turn.
I wanted to surprise you. That's what you get.
Bum bum
Hey, that's what
bum.
you get for leading by Zelda.
Jesus Christ,
5.
here we go.
Yep, that's
All
number one.
right. I guess another one that I would like to have learned a lot earlier is how to manage finances. And this is a big deal for the younger generation because it's a big deal when kids go to college. They have no clue what they're doing when they get a student loan. Next thing you know, they get out of college, they're in debt for 15, 20 years after. Right?
Mm.
I didn't have to go through that. Thank God. I had a problem just managing money in general. So to me, and this is something I just started learning within the last few years, honestly. Managing money is very important. This should be something that's taught in school
Yeah.
because you could set yourself up for a financial disaster really early if you're not careful. I mean, for example, me, I am still at 29 years old building my credit, trying to figure out ways I can build my credit back up and so I can buy a home and be financially stable in other words. Now, there is a difference between, being financially stable as in I make a decent living and I can afford to pay my bills. And then there's another way of being financially stable to where you're looking for the future. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because a lot of people they don't look at retirement. They don't look at investing. They don't look at things that will set them up, not just long term, but also short term as well. And this is a problem not only for the younger generation, but also the older generation as well. And it's simply because it's not taught. This is
Mm.
something that you are literally self taught or you learn over experience of whether it's talking to other people or you have a financial advisor or you go to Edward Jones or stuff like that to where they teach you. But it's super important to learn finances as early as you can so you can become financially stable, learn how to balance a checkbook, learn how to manage your money properly. That's a
Mm.
big deal. Big deal.
Coincidentally, I did actually have uh, a class in school that taught me finances. And I just want to say, Mr. Winook, if you're out there, if you're listening somehow, thank you for that, that first module we did in Intro to Business where you taught us, how to do budgets and checkbooks and shit like that. That shit has stuck with me to this day. And again, thank you. So, Mr. Winook, thank you.
Why the fuck didn't I take that class?
Good job, Mr. Winnook. No
But
shit, right?
but yeah, it's I like this is a whole other podcast, but take a drink. But I do have a lot of issues with our current school system because we tend to just prioritize learning facts, like stuffing facts into people's head. But we're not teaching them actual life skills. Like, I mean, there was something going around a while ago where millennials and people of our generation, we're not quite millennials. I don't know what the fuck we're called, but anyway, uh, we're having to take adulting classes, and to learn how to do things like balance a checkbook, pay bills, all sorts of different, just necessary life skills. And our schools really aren't preparing people, or at least that's it. I got lucky. I managed to take that class and, learn some shit. And plus, I learned a lot from my mom in terms of just how to do things. Uh, but yeah, like that's honestly, if school is supposed to be preparing a student for life, we're kind of doing a piss poor job of it. And
Yeah.
again, other podcast topic, but yeah, definitely, money is what makes the world go round, so you need to learn how to use it.
Yeah, it's definitely something I
Amen
wish
to
I'd have learned a lot younger. Because here I am to this day, and I'm still terrible at it. I'm,
that.
I'm so I'm absolutely terrible with it. Um, but it is something that me and John went, and Nick, we all three of us went to the same school. I didn't even know they fucking had that class.
Me neither.
I
Mm.
Me
definitely
neither.
should have took it. Because
Yeah.
it's skill requirement. Like how we don't teach in school how to do our taxes, how to balance a checkbook, and how to build credit is fucking absurd. Like they
Yeah.
at least have one class. It should be mandatory to at least have. It's like it should be like English and science. Like it should be mandatory to at least have that one time. You know.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Just
I know there's like home ec classes, but honestly, that needs to be, like you said, it needs to be mandatory, I would think, because that's it. There's just, especially nowadays, there's, you got to learn how to or
Yeah.
manage your money, especially because, well, nobody pays a living wage anymore, and we're all being crushed under the weights of capitalism. But another podcast topic.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. If I had learned how to manage my money better, I probably could have gone out and got Ocarina of Time and finished it because Nick deleted my files.
6, dude.
dude, that is like a $5 game. If you don't know how to manage that, there's something wrong with you.
You can buy a digital download version on the Switch. It's on the Nintendo store. Or if not, hashtag piracy is bad. But get on the internet, look for an N64 emulator, look for, a Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time ROM, beat the fucker, and get over yourself.
No, if I beat it, then I can never bitch at Nick again.
Well, then get up to Hyrule Castle, get up to the last room before Ganon, and then just be like, hey, Nick, come in here. And then have
I'd
him delete your save.
rather-
It'll be just like old times.
Mhm. And let's face it, Ganon is just a fucking wimp in that game anyway, so you will be able to say that you didn't beat the game, but you basically did.
no,
See, Andrew, you got possibilities, bro. Possibilities.
I'd rather just keep bringing it up.
See, have an open mind, bro. You can go buy the game. You can buy it on the Switch. You can get a Nintendo 64 emulator. There's many possibilities you have.
No,
Open your mind to the
I never took
possibilities.
classes how to manage my money. I don't know how to do that. Me's so stupid.
But in all seriousness, it is important for people to learn that as they grow, and I agree 100% with you, John. That should be something that's taught, just like science, history, and so everything else, English, and all that, because it's something that literally sets yourself up to fail. I mean, look at the kids in college nowadays that don't come from parents that or make a really good living that can afford to pay their kids college fees and all that. If you get a loan, student loans from the government, I mean, the system's designed for you to fail. I mean, you'll
Mm,
sit there and pay for 15, 20. There's people literally in their 50s and 60s that still owe money for student loans.
yeah,
I
which
mean,
is
it's it's crazy. Well, not that I agree what they should owe, but just think if they had the ability or the knowledge to learn how to manage money and to know before they were signing their life away when they were going to accept that loan that there was other options that they could have took to get the same degree that was either more feasible financially or shorter term, less interest or whatnot. It's just things that people do not look at when they go to purchase something, or especially finance. I mean, you go to finance a house, a car. I mean, they literally sell you on the payment. What do you want your monthly payment to be? Anywhere from 250 to 300. Oh, I can make that happen. But they forgot to tell you that your interest rate's 25%, and for a $10,000 car, you're gonna end up paying 30 grand for it.
Yeah.
So those are the little things that people just don't necessarily think about or even look at because, well, they don't want to believe that they're getting ripped off or not. They focus on one thing, that one payment. Can I afford that payment? And then that's all they look at, and it sets yourself up for disaster. It really does. I just started learning shit like this, and I'm not even, fully knowledgeable. And this is something I wish I would have learned a long time ago. Because, as you said, John, money makes the world go around nowadays. As sad as it to say, but I don't see that ever really going away anytime soon. So definitely, figure it out and learn how to manage your money.
Yeah, it's definitely a good one. Like, especially because it's not even talked about, that it's not taught in schools. I think that's something that it definitely needs to keep getting more talked about because unless we talk about it and bring it up, you know what I mean, it's never going to happen.
Right.
I don't want to see my nieces and nephews or like any of the kids go through all the bullshit headaches that I had to go through just because I wasn't taught it right when I was younger.
Yeah. And look, you can kill two birds with one stone. There's many books out there that you can get that teaches you how to manage money, like, just finances for, 101 type thing. So you can kill two birds with one stone. You can learn and, open your mind up, read a book, and you can learn about finances.
Yeah.
See what I did
Oh,
there?
snap.
Anyways, John, lead us away, man. What do you got? What's your next one?
All right. This one is a little bit more abstract, like and yeah, I don't really know how to put this. So I'm just going to come out and say it because I'm a terrible podcaster. Uh don't ask why, ask why not. And you can apply this across the board, but like um there were a lot of things in life that I always asked, why should I do this, why should I do this, why should I do this, and if I would have asked why not, I probably would have had a lot more, uh, a wider breadth of experiences, because that's it. I asked myself, why should I do this? And I came up with all the reasons why I shouldn't. Or if I asked, why not do this, I would have come up with the same thing, honestly. But having that change in perspective would have led me to, examine the reasons why I said, oh, I shouldn't do this. And, you know, maybe that's it. I would have. I genuinely think that's it. Asking myself why not right now instead of why, at this point in my life, has typically brought me a lot more happiness and just fun in general, if I'm being completely honest. And yeah, that's one I wish I would have learned earlier.
Kind of like switching from becoming a negative person that's just like shutting down every opportunity to becoming more of a yes man to say like, hey, why not? Let's just do it.
Mm, well, that's
Jim
it.
Carrey's got an awesome movie on that.
It is. I do enjoy it, but I think the core of it lies in the perspective switch. That's it. Not just going, I don't want to do this, or this is a thing, and why to do it. I guess the root of it is that if I ask why not, I'm already somewhat committed to doing it, and if I can't come up with any objections to overcome why not, then do it, rather than asking why I should do it, which starts from a state of not doing it.
I get that. That makes
I get
sense.
that too. Yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting because a lot of people talk themselves out of trying new things or doing things in general when if they could simply just do it and maybe like it or fall in love with it or kind of learn about it. So I like it. That's interesting. I like that one.
Well, it's also like if you start saying to yourself, "Why not?" Like John's like that, I think it could also help, like recompute or reprogram your brain to be more positive. You know what I mean?
Mm,
To take more chances in life, because God knows our time on this earth is way too short. But I mean, saying why not a lot of times has led me into like some of the best video games I've ever played. Like, you know what I mean? It's led me into like a lot of friendships that I even have now. That nowadays, it's even led me into the line of work that I'm in now. Like, it's just be like, hey, why not? Let's try this out. Next thing you know, that you got a whole new life just because you said that. You know,
mm,
I said
become
the
a
same
more
thing when I picked up golf. Did the same thing when I picked up golf. I never liked golf, and one day a buddy of mine said, "Hey man, you want to go play golf? It's free. You just go out there and hit the ball." I'm like, why not? I ain't got nothing better to do. Next thing you know, I'm addicted to it now. I love the fucking game.
but yeah, that's it. Just opening yourself up to more possibilities and well, I guess, there are a lot of ways you could phrase it, but I like, say why not instead of why, purely because um it it overcomes a certain amount of mental inertia, I guess. Well, I've said this a few times now, but that's it. If you say why not, you're kind of already into it rather than, trying to get into it. You've overcome the first barrier, I guess.
yeah. Well, decisions that you make are oftentimes like I compare this shit to like it's like a river that just sits there and like it cuts through stone, like water. How water cuts through stone doesn't cut through it like immediately just from like one or two decisions. Like it's decision after decision, and the next thing you know, you have like a river that's going through the rock or whatever. Like the same thing with like how you're saying why not? If you might not change your life drastically from saying why not and taking one opportunity. But if you keep at it, and the next thing you know, you got a whole different you got a whole different personality. Like just from like for me, like quit smoking or anything like that. Like if you just say like one day that you just said you do it, you did. It doesn't really change anything. It's multiple. It's consistency. You know what I mean?
Mm,
If that makes any sense.
Absolutely,
that's rather
absolutely.
poetic, Andrew. I'm surprised.
I put a whole thought process together that time.
Apparently so.
That's
Ah,
funny.
indeed, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
That was
I bet you Nick thought the same exact thing every single time he loaded up Zelda and deleted my file. He was probably
seven.
just like, "Why not?"
Actually, I didn't even ask that question. I just did it because I didn't give a fuck.
He's-
Wow.
that one stings. He said, "I didn't
let's
even
let's
Wow.
ask
let's
it."
let's make sure everybody understands. I wasn't the bad brother, okay? Believe me, for as many times as I deleted a game of his, that motherfucker on the other side of this phone or this podcast, he used to beat the shit out of me, torment me, fuck my toys up, or do whatever that he wanted. So, as many times as I deleted a fucking video game on him, he's done things that are 10 times worse. Don't
I
get it
always,
twisted.
I always thought, "Why not?"
Okay, now we have a negative example of why not. Okay, when it comes
Leave
to,
the game.
harming people, maybe think why rather than why not. But otherwise, yeah. Let's
That's
Uh,
fun.
I find if you ask too many questions, it gets too philosophical. We just move on with it. uh, I still got one though. One that I wish I'd have did when I was younger. Definitely is I wish it sounds kind of dumb, but I wish I would have learning from other people's mistakes more instead of
mm,
always learning just from mine. Like like say if you're a kid and you walk up and like every kid's probably did it where they're like the parents are like, don't touch the heater, it's gonna burn you, and you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna touch it anyways, I'm like invincible or whatever you think, and like you burn yourself, like you instantly think, I'm never touching that fucking heater again. Like that's just not happening because you learn from your own mistakes. I wish I'd have been the person that watched a kid touch the heater and been like, ha, I know not to do that now. You know what I mean?
mm,
Like I know it sounds like it's something that I've learned from when I got older, like of watching like older people that I've known go down like a down even people friends of mine just go down the wrong path and they've come out like it's some of the people I know are even in prison or just have rough lives or even addicts to this day. Like I'm glad I've learned off of their mistakes, definitely, because I'm glad I'm not in their shoes. But I wish when I was younger than just like my 20s or my 30s or whatever, where I wish I'd have learned at a kid to learn from other people's mistakes. And maybe I'd have like, stayed in school and went to college or whatever. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And now we all know why history is very important, so you don't repeat and make history, the future.
Mm-hmm.
Learn from others' experience. That's a very good one. I like it.
Yeah, I don't. I
But
don't
in
think
many
people learn from each other's mistakes enough.
no, and that's why history repeats itself again and again and again.
Yeah.
Bro.
Absolutely.
There's also, I think this kind of also ties back to some of the other or the things we've talked about. Um, you see somebody who's doing something, the wrong way or whatnot, and they're, cocksure that they're doing it the right way or whatever, and being able to see their mistake and, go, yeah, but definitely, a good thing. And I think there's also sort of a beautifully communal aspect of it that you can tell or say to someone or tell someone, hey, I've already fucked up like this, so I'm trying to let you know nothing good lies this way.
Yeah. Well, I've been told that by people older than me when I was a kid, either
Mhm.
my grandfather, mother, or whoever, trying to like steer me away down the path that I was going. Like, hey, you're messing up. I've done this. I've seen other people do it. You probably shouldn't do that. But like, fuck them. They're not me. That's when that ego gets in. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, I'm better than that. And then you do the mistakes and you learn, I'm not better than that.
It- it's interesting that you bring that up actually because there's overcoming the ego, I think, is also a hindrance to learning from other people's mistakes, is because you see somebody else fuck up and you're like, oh, I'm not them, I'll do better, and then you stumble in and do the exact same thing, and it's just sort of like,
Right.
well,
Yeah.
Well, there are times and circumstances that do warrant that. By the way, I mean, you could apply this to like entrepreneurs, for example.
mm,
You can apply this to a lot of sports. I mean, yeah, you make the same mistake, whether it was a mistake or you just did that thing wrong. So let's keep in mind there is a difference between, hey, don't touch that stove, it's hot, than, hey, don't start up a business in the same industry because I failed. You get it?
all right.
So there is a big difference there. Don't have an open mind to things like that. But yeah, there are things that you can kind of just figure out for yourself whether it's a mistake or not. So yeah, learn from people's mistakes and maybe try to do it better. Not necessarily it was the wrong way. It's just maybe they didn't have the right skill set or the right knowledge to know how to do that particular thing, and maybe you do. So there's kind of a catch-22 to that.
Yeah.
Mm,
I do it all the time. I do it all the time at my work, man. When it's like if I see somebody fuck up a job, I'm like, okay, what did you do to do that? You know what I mean? Because obviously, whatever you did to do that, I don't want ever want to do that. You know what I mean? That just mathematics there. 1 + 1 = don't do that.
It's funny. It's funny.
1 + 1 = don't.
You heard it here, folks.
I I always thought it was two, but that could be wrong.
Hey, man. Oh, keep an open mind. Keep an open mind.
Exactly.
You never know. Why?
Why
Hey,
not? Why not? Why
why
not?
not? See?
Hey,
That's
Nick, Nick, there is one thing I do know is
if you
that
mention Zelda, I'm gonna kill you.
no, what I was gonna say is that I think it's your topic next. You're the
Um, sure. I'll go for this. And honestly, I kind of lost. I'm not lost, but I kind of spitball on this one because I didn't really have any more. I would say, and this
Exposed.
applies to the younger generation rather than anybody else. I would say respect. Respect.
Hmm.
The younger generation, they lack, especially nowadays, because parents are so tedious and sensitive to, like, discipline their kids and actually show them, to respect their elders and respect people in general, their property, their things, their time, their this everything in general. Nowadays, respect is like something that people think, and I hate when somebody says respect is earned. Respect is not earned. Respect is given at first sight. You could either A, earn more, or B, fuck it up. For example, let me give you guys a good example at this. You walk to the store. You walk into somebody by accident. Your cart's hit their cart. Isn't it automatic that you apologize and say, excuse me?
Mm.
Did they have to earn that, or was it given at first glance? Right? That is respect. I don't have to earn nobody's respect. Now, if I diminish it and I lose that respect, yes, of course, I'll have to earn it back. But I feel you should give everybody the same respect at first sight. And if you did that, we would be a very comfortable and very respectful society.
Mm.
Nowadays, you don't get that. People don't respect people's property. I mean, you got, and I refer to this when it comes to these riots, whether you believe that the riots are justified or not. I do not agree that you burn down someone's business or home because you think that they didn't believe in the same thing that you believed in, especially if they didn't do anything wrong to you. You know, I don't agree with that at all. You know, that's their livelihood. Have some respect for that person's time, property, just in general, have respect, you know. So that's a thing I believe that this society, especially nowadays, and the younger generation are probably just as terrible with it as anybody else. And you can kind of contribute that to, you know, people are afraid to kind of give their kids ass whippings nowadays. I mean, I know Andrew can vouch for this. We weren't able to play those games with mom.
Yeah.
Mom would fuck us up. You know what I mean? Nowadays, people are afraid to kind of give their kid an ass whooping. If they do something wrong, they just sit there and say, "Don't do that." All right, take their phone away. Oh my God, you know what I mean? It's just a different time and age we live in, and I don't think that. And I'm not saying that beating your kids instills respect. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is giving your kid an ass whooping will make them think twice before they do that same thing again. You know what I mean? So respect is a big deal. Respect others, respect their property, respect their time, respect them as a person, and you'll be just fine.
That even rhymed.
You like that, don't you?
How poetic, Nick.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Nick. Like, I've even thought the same thing every single time somebody's like, respect is earned. Respect is something you should get right from it. I think it's more of trust should be earned than respect. You know what I mean? Like, your respect should be given, but trust needs to be earned. At least I've always viewed it like that in my eyes. You know, like just I like the analogy you used too. Like if you were to bump into somebody in the grocery store, you're just now like, "Fuck you, bitch, got in my way." You're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, didn't mean to bump into you." You know? Given that mutual respect helps us live without live in a harmonious community. That's the reason why we're not out there chopping each other's heads off because you're stealing parking spots or some shit like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I've always been, I guess, more on the side of respect is earned, not given. But I also believe that there is, you know, just kind of a baseline respect, I guess, is the word for it, that, you know, you just give people, you know, like, yeah, like common human decency, you know, like, respecting, you know, or, you know, seeing another person as, you know, just another human being who's got the same shit and struggles that you're going through, you know, trying to pay bills, trying to keep food on the table, shit like that. So there's a certain level, I guess, of just straight up decency that I would say is given rather than earned. But I guess, like that's it. I feel kind of resistant to the notion of, you know, respect is given, not earned, or, you know, a baseline respect. Well, I'm fucking my own self up. Andrew, save me. Save me from my pontificating.
Hey man, I know one thing for sure is that if I respect somebody, I'm never gonna delete their Zelda files ever.
That's what, 8?
I don't know. I lost count. We're just gonna say Zelda files. There we go. There's
10. Okay, we've cleared the barrier. We've got it.
Dude, fuck off on this Zelda shit.
Man, my word.
Fuck off on Zelda.
He set a goal at the beginning of the episode, and you know he met it. He achieved.
Dude, he like doubled it.
No, he said 10, and he just went Zelda file. Or he said we were at 8, and then he just goes Zelda files. So you know all right. He cleared the goal.
I'm sure he did.
But in the spirit
Now,
of having.
since I just saved you, John, I guess it's your turn to tell me which one you know.
All right. Well, I would just like to say, in the spirit of that, and in the spirit of keeping an open mind. Oh, callbacks! It's almost like we know what we're doing.
Why not?
Yeah, like that's it. There is a certain a baseline decency that you should just treat people with, and yeah, that would be respect. So yeah, respect. A certain level, I would argue, of respect is just given out. Rather than
Oh yeah,
having to be earned. But anything, I guess, esteem would be a good word for it. Definitely has to come after.
yeah, that's a good way of putting it right there, John. I like
Mm.
that.
And that's a whole philosophical debate. Uh, one
Another
more,
podcast.
just to to close out, is just that I kind of actually just said that, but you're not special, and I realize that you know I realize.
We here at JNA do not endorse crushing dreams.
No, 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 no. Here, allow us me the chance to explain.
All
Uh,
right.
and I realize this sounds like a dick thing to say, but they say the best, or that this is some tough love. We're ending on some tough love moment, but
I'm
uh,
so stoned. That was so hilarious.
If anybody's listening, he's talking exactly right to you. You are fucking not special. All
well,
right, John, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Come on,
okay.
wrap us up. Bud.
I say this as a means of empathy. The world does not revolve around you. The universe does not around you. Everyone else out there has got the same things going on. Maybe, the details are different, but everybody's, trying to, feed their family. They're trying to, pay their bills. They're trying to, just get through the grocery store to get their groceries, Like everybody on this planet, with a very about a 1% exception, if we're being honest, is on the struggle. They're on the grind. They're just trying to get through life, and, try not to uh, outright make anybody else miserable just because it'll, improve your own lot in some way. That's it. Be empathetic. That the cashier you see ringing up your groceries, they're not just some stupid fuck. No, they're at work, so that way they can have money to pay for food and shit like that. So that's it. You're not special. Everybody, we are all on the grind. And yeah, it sucks, but that's it. Be a little empathetic. Everybody's, we're just trying to get along in life.
Well,
If
I
you don't
have
mind, I want to
Go ahead, Nick.
I was just going to say, if you don't mind, I want to reword what John was saying because I believe that we're all special to our own special purpose, I should say. But I guess a better way to put that, John, would be you are no better than me. We all bleed the
Mm.
same motherfucking blood. So I just wanted to throw that out there. That's just my 2 cents.
I was gonna actually say that. I was gonna say a less mean way of saying it is everybody's equal. I was just like, you're not special. Your life is shit. Your continued existence is Alice on its all.
No, no, I didn't say anything like that. That's it. It's just
I
that's it.
just thought this shit was funny. It's just
That
yeah,
shit
he's
was
like, I
fun.
do got a topic here. The one thing I've always thought is, you're not special.
Well, I phrased it like that because as human beings, we tend to have an egocentric view of the world. It's all about me, me, me. And that's not necessarily wrong per se, because that's it. We all do have our own struggles and shit like that. It's just also recognizing that so do other people. Like,
Yeah.
uh, that's it. It's just life is rough. Be kind to one another.
We
Yeah,
get it, man, and I agree 100%. We all bleed the same blood, and when I die, I'm gonna go to the same place that you do. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? So don't think you're better than anybody else, whether it's because you got more money or because you have more materialistic things or just whatever in general. Just again, this falls back to respect, motherfucker. Respect me. I respect you. We're all human beings and we all live on the same goddamn planet. So take
Mm.
care of me and I'll take care of you.
Says the guy that deleted all my Zelda files.
Nope.
Oh my
We have
fucking god!
overachieved. We're at 11.
I swear to
Yeah.
God, I'm gonna
I
fucking.
just I wanted to say one more just in case.
I'm gonna say we're at least 15 or 16. It has to be more than 10. Has to be more
No.
than 10.
I've been keeping track. We're on 10, or that was 11. So, I'm sorry for your pain.
It's not my
recognize-
pain. It's fucking
It's
Andrew's,
all right.
evidently.
I recognize both your pains because you are both human beings.
Oh yeah, we're not
But you
special.
are not
goddammit.
special.
Nobody's special.
On
know
that
what,
note,
John? My therapist says I'm special, so there.
That's between you
on
and
that
your
note,
therapist.
everybody. On that note, everybody, it's been a pleasure. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope everybody's staying safe during what we're going through. And just to kind of reword what John said, you are special. You are special fucking human beings. Keep doing what you're doing. Have some respect. And have a wonderful day, everybody.
Keep an open mind. Ask why not. And be kind to one another because this is all we got.
There you go. We were missing that.
Yep, I had to get it